Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Workshop Goals. This is our second episode. I'm Brad. If you're new here, I am so stoked about this because today we're gonna start doing some work. I've got two goals. One, I wanna build out the wall that's gonna define the back 3D printing room upstairs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go check out the first video where we talk all about what we're doing with this space. And number two is I don't have any of my shop storage or workstations over here, so I need to make some things to work on. So I'm thinking sawhorse, maybe collapsible workbench, and maybe one other thing. We'll figure that out as we go along. But also give you guys a little bit of an update as what's happening with the shop and where we're at. So let's get started. All right, let's get some light in here. So as you can see, we've got a lot going on with the electrical wiring and we're bringing stuff in here. This is super awesome. Actually, right over here beside you, there's all kinds of bundles in here. And that's because we're running some new sub panels. We're gonna have another one over there as well. But funny thing, as I open up this door, every time I open it up, I am like on the lookout for ants because it was a couple weeks in, literally like a week or two after we had gotten spray foam. I looked up in this corner. We were actually cleaning up. Actually, it was down in this corner and we found a bunch of dust. And we were like, what is this? And we swept it up. Then the next day, come back and there's a new pile of dust. I was like, what the heck is that? Well, get up on a ladder. And I had kind of seen these little black ants going. Get up on the ladder and this is what I saw. This was from my cell phone. Ants everywhere. They were actually in the foam and I could hear them eating the foam. Let me just tell you, when you have a brand new shop, that is not the sound you want to hear. But we got rid of them. We got some insecticide, whatever. We got it all there and we treated all the wood and they were carpenter ants. Hopefully we'll be okay on that. But every time I open this door, I'm like PTSD. So we're going around here, we're gonna have all of our wiring and we do have a bunch of different sub panels like I mentioned, and I'll show you this one back here in the back, but we're getting everything set up because this is what's gonna allow us to start moving machines over, sheathing the walls and getting everything buttoned up. So our receiving area is already getting full. We've got a bunch of stuff here from Eaton, and this is all of our circuit breakers and stuff. But we've got all of our products from Eaton that we're gonna be installing over in the sub panels. So main panels, sub panels, and it's all here that we need to just get unboxed and start going through. Like I said, this is our receiving area and it's perfect already. Coming back into the CNC room, this is where we've got the most wire and check this out. These are all 50 amp breakers. This wire is, it's a thick boy and that stuff is not cheap. So we're gonna be putting this all into our breaker box, our load center, I guess, back here. And there's gonna be a ton of juice back here when we get the CNC in and get it open. I cannot wait for that. But we are definitely having some framing issues. And I'll talk more about that later, but just know that there are a lot of issues that we're gonna have to deal with in here. But what we're gonna do today is frame stuff for ourselves. Any issues that we have, we're gonna bring them on ourselves, and I'm okay with that. All right, so let's head upstairs, and while we head upstairs, this is a nice little example of some of the stuff we're dealing with here. I think there was a sale at the wet noodle store, and they bought them all. But let's head upstairs and see what we're working with today. All right, so we are up on the second floor again. This is gonna be offices up here in the front, and in the back is where the 3D print farm is gonna be. So we've already brought the wood up here for framing out that wall, and I designed this nice little wall here. And this is exactly what we're gonna be building today. So actually I got a great deal on a wide format printer, which is fantastic. So it's like a 24 inch, which way does this go? I don't know, one of these directions is 24 inches. And so I can print my own blueprints now, which is amazing. I love it. Actually, we might be printing some plans with this. So let me know if you think that's something that you'd want to check out, is having plans for yourself that you could have wide instead of just like the digital files that we send out. Because I think that'd be pretty cool. But here's what we're building today. I've got all the lumber set out here. We've got some lights set up because it's a little bit dark still up in here with no electric. But yeah, go ahead and get building. All right, first of all, get some air in here. That's one thing about having a super insulated building, is that there's not a lot of airflow. We're gonna take care of that later with HVAC, but for right now, we'll get some cross breeze going on here. This will be nice. By the way, if you haven't been checking out the main channel, we just got done with a ramp over there. A little shed ramp. That bad boy is awesome. All right, so here is where our wall is gonna go, and the wall is actually gonna fall in between studs over here on the side. Now, again, I won't get into it at the moment, but we have some framing issues we've got to work around. But regardless, the wall is going to be in here, so I needed some ladder blocking. So we went ahead and installed that, as well as ladder blocking all the way across in between the trusses. And that's just going to give us something to, raise the wall up and attach it to. But those little cuts were all kind of from scrap. But what I really need now is I need to cut down the 16 footers. They're going to be my top and bottom plate. And for that, it would be really nice to have some sawhorses. So we're going to start with that, and I'm going to show you how to make the cheapest and easiest sawhorse, and I love them because I've made them, a dozen times. Really, I've only made them twice. A dozen sounds better, but I think it's twice. But today will be 3. All right, so I've got my stack of 2x4s here, and this is the perfect opportunity to use boards like this. I mean, you do not want to have a board like this to be hanging drywall on because obviously you're missing half of the edge. So grabbing something like this and turning it into a set of sawhorses, it's gonna be a better use of that wood. We only need 5 boards for a set of 2. And warped boards are also good ones to pick out. All right, I think that'll do it. I got 2 over there, 3 more here. Let's go do some cuts. All right, so if you do have a warped boards like this one's got a nice big bow to it. These would be perfect for the top and the bottom of the I-beam of the sawhorse. So we're basically gonna have a 2x4, a 2x4, and then one on edge in between. And so these would be great for the top and the bottom because you can screw them down flat. So I'm gonna cut 4 of these at 32 inches. And the irony about making sawhorses is that you kind of need sawhorses to make sawhorses, but yeah, it's fine. We'll get by. It's a patented catch. All right, so these are my 4 32-inch tops. Now to go in between them, that board that's gonna go vertical, I'm actually gonna make those 30 inches. So you'll have like an inch overhang on the top line side, so you could do some clamping, and also it allows us to get a few more boards out of it. That's actually not true at all. It doesn't allow you to get a few more boards. It just allows you to have more scrap. All right, so these will be 30. All right, so quick change of plans. I actually cut the I-beam portion to be 29 inches, not 30, and here's why. Check this out. If you put it on the end here, then if this one is 3 inches smaller than this one, then I can leave 1.5 inches and use that to space it off the side. Plus, once we have these assembled, then you'll have kind of a slot where you could put a 2x4 in there if you wanted to run a 2x4 and connect them together. So, yeah. So we're gonna assemble the top first, and like I mentioned here, all I gotta do now to space these is put these little guys on each side, and then just center this up here. And so, we got a little rocking and rolling, that's all right. But I'm gonna flip this over, and if you've got a bow in your board, put it so that the bow is up. All right, so now we're gonna flip it over and we'll just align these the same way. And then I'm just gonna use another little board here so that these are kind of aligned top to bottom. All right. Again, these don't have to be perfect by any stretch of imagination. These are our basic 2x4 sawhorses. All right, so this is the basis of the sawhorse. This will be our top here, and now we're just gonna use these little lips here to actually give us the splay of the legs, which is pretty cool. So let's see here, we need to cut some legs. So let's cut some legs. Guys, I have been woodworking for long time, as many of you have, and the quality of lumber has just gotten so bad. And then this is construction lumber, but look at this. Look at how bad that is. I mean, I understand if it's like, you know, little 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch on the edge, but look at this thing. I mean, they're just trying to squeeze every last piece out of there. Who is West Fraser? West Fraser? I'm calling you out, man. You got to do better than this. This is absolute trash. This should never pass grade. I don't know what the grade is, but this shouldn't pass it. This is horrible. Bad wood or not, we're cutting some legs out of it. So we'll cut 4 legs per at 32 inches. Sometimes you miss the pencil clip. Sometimes you don't. I've got the 4 legs cut, and the cool part about this is that you just use the I-beam to make the splay for the legs. And now there's a easy way to do this, and there's a little bit more fancy way to do this. I'm just gonna do it the easy way. And that is to just slap this bad boy right in there. Now, what you could do, if you're really feeling fancy, is you could cut that bevel to make it match. Then you could also do the same thing here at the top so that you would then be level with the ground. You know, I've done these a bunch of times too, as we discussed, and I don't know that it's necessary, but I kind of want to do it now that I said it. Pushing ourselves at boundaries. And one of the things that is really important to me is precision and just getting everything perfect. And today we're just gonna go with it. I'm gonna buck in the face of perfectionism and just get a freaking 2x4 attached to a piece of wood. So I'm just gonna square this up right to the end here. She's solid. Just gonna do the same thing 3 more times and we'll have some sawhorses. So there you go. This is our super simple sawhorse and what we can do to make it even stronger. And you know, like I said, it is gonna be a little bit rickety, but you can kind of move the legs out to get it nice and level. And it takes a lot of weight. I weigh all of, 160 pounds. And this thing is fine. It can take at least 162 pounds. I am gonna have plans available for these sawhorses. So if you wanna build your own, check the link down below in the description. That is definitely something we're trying to do here on the channel, is give you guys resources. We're also gonna have plans for the next things that we're gonna build and basically for everything we build. If you don't need help, then that's fine too. Just watch the video and build it yourself. All right, we got my sawhorses now. And I got these 16 footers. So our width here is like 29 feet. So the 16 footers, I'm gonna frame up the wall in 2 sections actually. And the way that I've got it laid out is gonna be a little bit less than 16 feet and then remainder over there. And we do have a door that's gonna go in here. Just go ahead and start marking these out for the length according to my plan. And we'll get them cut. But working on these sawhorses is awesome now because got something to hold the work pieces. Here we go. Part of the problem with this whole build is that not much is on layout. When I say on layout, I mean 16 inches on center and starting your first one at 15 1/4. So I am gonna go through here and mark everything and we'll just be marking all of these together, because having layout is super important when you're gonna be putting drywall in. So when you're laying out, you're not marking on the actual red lines where the 16 on center is because of that offset on the first one. And so I'm actually gonna be marking 3/4 of an inch away from that, which means the center would land right on our red mark, which is what you want. 4, 5, and 6. All right, now when we get our door, it's just going to be a king stud and a jack stud for the door opening, and I am framing it at 38.5 inches because in case I want a wider door. 38, 38.5, different people, different strokes, whatever. So this will be my king, and that'll be my jack. I should have made these measurements on here from the end, but I didn't. So 38.5 from here. Ooh, math. What's 38.5 plus 98? That's here. So that'd be 138.5 minus 2. It's 136.5 plus 1/4. 136 3/4. Sounds about right. Let's see if that works. And that's going to be our jack. That's going to be our king stud. All right, so if I did this correctly, which I may or may not have, this should end up right on the red. Oh, and it does. Everything will now be 16 on center, and it'll be nice and easy to hang drywall. Now, I am not a framer. I just play one on YouTube, but I have framed a few walls in my days, and I think most of them are still standing. But if you really want some good framing education, there are lots of awesome YouTube channels out there, like Perkins Builder Bros, RR Buildings. Lots of great guys out there that you can learn from. For me, you can just kind of watch and laugh. Those are our headers and footers. Or top plate and bottom plate, I guess it would actually be called. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, guys, this is part of some of the framing issues that I've been talking about, and I know that a lot of this is just what framing is. Framing is not an exact science. I get it. But it also isn't just, go crazy. So the issue that I'm going into right now is if you look at my walls, these walls were framed at 8 feet. So if you look at it, that top plate is basically right at 8 feet, okay? So that's great. But the way that they hung the joists or the rafters, trusses, it immediately, so on this cross bracing, which is flush, it might even be a little low, goes to 8 1/4 inches. And then we go another 8 1/4, and then we go 8 1/4, and then all the way down to 8.5 and potentially a bit more. So what I'm trying to decide is, do I just measure each one and put it in place? Because I don't want to stick frame it. You can do that, put the top plate in, put the bottom plate in, and match the studs in between. I don't like toenailing it. I just want to build the wall and stand it up. Let me know. Am I being too picky? Should I measure it? Should I just put it in, to the lowest and then shim everything? I think what I'm going to do is cut these a little bit shorter, and then the rest of these guys, I'm just going to run at 8 feet and a half inch, not 8.5 feet. But yeah, that's the problem of framing as a perfectionist, is that, I'm like, this is a 30-second off, but it's really a half inch off, and that's quite a lot. But I think we're just going to go with it. You know what's not quiet? Rain on a metal roof. So enjoy the sounds of the rain. I am going to check for crown and make sure they're all crowned the same way. All right, so one thing I realized I messed up is when I was framing up the wall, I was wanting to put this stud right here, the break in the studs, because I've only got 16-foot long boards, is put that break right under a stud, because you don't want to have a break just hanging out, in between a stud base. So I measured it that way. But when I laid it out for the full stud to be there. So in actuality, if I had that, then that would not work for the next one, because that would just be hanging. I'm going to split it and have it right there. So I need to kind of redraw my line, or just hit it at the halfway point. So I'll be coming in with nails on this side, and then when I put the next one in, I'll be coming in from this side. All right, we've got our wall. Now these are going to be our jack studs, and this is where the door will go. So if you're not familiar with framing, this is how that works. The jack goes underneath there, and then we'll have a header on top. And what these basically do is it carries the load from that top door. Now, in reality, this is a non-load bearing wall, so this isn't as important, and we're actually only just gonna have like a 2x4 header, but it's still the idea. You have the jack studs there supporting that piece on top, and we'll just nail them in place and into the king stud. I gotta be honest, that's one of the coolest things about framing. Racking your nails. All right, so we got our header, which you can just stick down in there. Oh, geez, man, blasting through nails. Ah, crap. All right, here we go. And we've got our little, hello. I would miscut that in a serious fashion. How the heck did I do that? Oh, yeah. You never saw those. All right, so we've got our, what they call cripplers, and those are gonna go up top of the header. And I realized I should have actually marked those. So those are also 16 on center. So this one will go here. And this one will go right here. Section 1 of the wall is done. Whew. Oh, eat it. Oh, get out of here. Wasp patrol. All right, we are losing our daylight because it is 5:20 on Friday night, which means it's pizza time. So we got some good progress done today on this half of the wall, which we did start later in the afternoon. This did not take us the whole day. But we're gonna kick back to it on Monday, get the rest of this wall done. I'm feeling great about this. This is gonna be amazing. All right, I feel like I owe you guys some explanation. And if you watched the first video and you saw about the 3D printing room, I didn't really go into deep detail. Right now I am in the house at FTBTHQ2, and down this hallway is kind of where the current 3D printing farm is. And I think that's a great place to kind of fill you in on everything that's going on. So let's head down. All right, back in 2020, we all had a lot of time on our hands, right? Well, during that time, I got into 3D printing. And 3D printing is just like the perfect spot for me. As a former engineer, I love tinkering with things. I love design and CAD, and I just fell in love, and so much so that I even started a little Instagram channel about 3D printing, and I was having a blast just printing stuff and checking out the technology. And I actually stumbled into selling some products, and it had nothing to do with the workshop. It was like home decor, but we did really well selling these things. And the fact that we were building so much and making all these 3D printed parts, I kind of learned how to run a little small 3D printing farm. And I've even got buddies like Travis over at Shop Nation who are also doing 3D printing as a major part of their business. So as I started to think about it, I was like, I want that to be part of what we're doing here at Fix This Build That. So that is why we're actually building out this print farm. And if you know anything about 3D printing, you know Bambu Lab, they actually do a reward program for some good designs. And we put a design up that did really well. And well, I got a lot of printers out of it because for rewards, they give you gift cards and you can actually buy printers. We earned a lot of these through that program with Bambu Lab. And so now I've got this kind of manufacturing just desire and a little bit of knowledge. I also have some resources, and then we have the shop, and I want to marry those together. And so that's what we're trying to do here. I love just the small manufacturing and in-house manufacturing idea. And we want to figure out how we can do that in a way that we can help you solve your problems in your own shop. So we want it to be storage and organization, not like home decor and things that we did before. We want this to mean something. We want this to be about solving workshop problems and workshop goals. So that's what we're doing. And I would love to hear from you guys. What kind of things are you interested in, and what kind of issues do you have that you're trying to solve that you think that 3D printing might be able to do for you? And if there's other things that are out there that are really awesome, let me know. I'd love to get some inspiration from those as well. So we have more about this story later, but that's kind of the why of why we're doing this. But let's go ahead and jump back over there and finish up that wall so we can get this thing going. All right, back at it today, and I'm gonna start off by snapping a line for this wall. So I've been trying to think about like how to actually raise this wall up, and if I was gonna build the whole thing at once and raise it all at once, but I've decided that's gonna be too hard because we've got electrical boxes and stuff, and raising it up, I just feel like it's gonna get stuck. So I'm gonna raise this part up first, and to make sure we get everything aligned, I'm gonna snap a chalk line. So I already got a nail down here. Oh, that doesn't have any chalk on it, does it? All right. I've never had my chalk line this long before. So the line's all white. Okay. Let's see if we can remedy that. There we go. Hopefully it'll make them work. All right, so I'm just gonna put a top plate on here, and this is gonna allow us to nail into that and basically to tie the walls together. So this one's kind of just a spacer, then the piece that'll connect these two walls will be down there. All right, here goes nothing. I think I should be able to do this myself. Famous last words, just getting underneath it's the hardest part. There we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Okay. Hope that doesn't fall down on me. That would suck. Whenever you're raising up a wall to fit perfectly in there, it obviously catches the corner, and I think that's basically what's happening here. All right, I figured out a much better way to do this is to use a big 2x4 and use it as a lever. Who said that? Give me a lever long enough and I'll move the earth. Give me an 8-foot 2x4 and I'll move an 8-foot wall. That is incredibly easier. There we go. We're off just a hair, but I think we're at a good enough spot where I can move this down. So I think I probably should have started it a little bit closer to the wall. You can see here, I got a good probably 4 inches there. Imagining moving this to the side is not gonna be easy, but I guess we'll find out. Just gonna put a little block under here and hopefully this moves okay. That is not moving at all. I don't know if that's moving at all. Maybe I need to hit this probably on this actual stud that's underneath here. That's it right there. All right. I think we're ready for the next wall. All right. Ooh, walking through the door. That seemed like the right door height. Every time I build something, I kind of always like, is that the right size? Because one time, I was building a fireplace mantle, and this guy sent me some pictures and stuff and the size of the opening of the mantle, and I was like, great. I made it all in SketchUp, designed it, everything looked great proportionally. I built the little side columns, built the mantle, and then I was like, I want to test fit this thing. And so I set the columns up next to each other, and I put the mantle on top. And the mantle came up to about here, the top of the mantle. And I sat back and looked at it and thought, that is a bit too low for a fireplace mantle that is supposed to be, at 62 inches. So whenever you look at something on SketchUp and you think, does that make sense? You know, you just need the real world. But I think that's right. I think that's good. That seems, he's ready to put ceilings. So I think we're good. But hopefully, that's always haunting me. I call it we'll call it the leprechaun shelf. We'll call it the leprechaun shelf. All right. All right, taking my own advice, I'm gonna slide this one up against the wall so I got less to beat it into place. Boy, that feels way tighter than it should be. There we go. Now we can use our 2x4 trick here. All right. That it looks like a wall. I'll start attaching this. I'm gonna go ahead and start nailing things in, and then I'll put that double top plate in to span those. So I did leave that one off. So these two walls are not connected. I will nail in, I'll toe nail down in here to secure that. Just that space. Let's just check that out for a minute. Woo! Check this out. Ah, this is huge. This is gonna be a fantastic space. Gonna have these big racks here. Those are about 24 inches deep. And then also we have enough space now, have one on the back wall, we can have two back to back. Yeah, we'll have nice 4-foot walkways in between everything. Oh man, this is gonna be awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start attaching the wall. I'm actually decided I think I'm gonna use screws because I could see us wanting to move this wall at some point, and if we have screws, we can take it out and move it a little bit easier. That'll be the least of my worries, I'm sure, because of all the drywall work and everything else, but you know, whatever. A boy can dream, can't he? All right, so now I can put the top plate, the double top plate on there, and it should work out. All right, so I'm gonna just square that up. I'll kind of get it flush to that top plate and then move it all into place instead of, you know, trying to do it all as one piece or two pieces, one piece. We'll make it one piece and then square it up. Now I can just square the rest of this up and we're pretty good already. I'm gonna pop it in a few spots right here with a couple screws and we should be done. This is awesome. We have our door, we got our wall, we are ready and we can start running electric through these walls. Obviously we already have this set up in the back and we're waiting to get this in before we ran all the wiring. So we're gonna have a ton of electric in here. It's gonna be fantastic. But this is just gonna be an amazing place to have all the 3D printers to do our prototyping and design. If you guys have any ideas like for things that you'd love to see us 3D print, let me know because we're trying to just figure out exactly what we're gonna be doing. But I know it's like storage and organization, drawer organizers, maybe some tool hangers. But if you have any other ideas, we would love to hear them. So we got our 2 goals done for today. We got the wall framed up and we got the sawhorses done. Now the workbench, I have an idea for that, and I think I'm gonna do a top that is a solid core door, and I wanna get it cheap. I wanna get it used off Facebook, and we haven't been able to find one just yet, so I'm gonna punt that to a future episode. So stay tuned for that. But until then, get out there, set a goal, and get it done. We'll see you next time.